So hyped you all decided to join here today on Extreme Strength and Fitness, especially on the United Facebook page. Hey, here is a place for you all to post in the group if you have any questions. If you have programming you're doing yourself, maybe you downloaded the free 8-week program I have on my website, or whatever you may be doing, you have questions of what you're doing and you think my insight may help you, please feel free to post, as well as you never know who's in the group and who may be able to ask you or who's going through the same exact thing that you're going through. So please utilize the group for that reason. And if you want people to join, they got to join. It is a private group, and I'll make sure that if all the criteria are met, they'll come in and be welcomed into the group as well. So what are we doing today? Well, I had talked about on my story a while ago and stuff how I wanted to do a live session for everybody and do some mobility sessions to get everybody just moving together, and the point of it, united, all coming together and doing stuff. Now my bandwidth is stretched pretty thin right now, so I decided we might as well just do recordings that you all can follow along to. And then the nice part about it, if there's any questions for that specific session that we do that week, then you can add your comments directly to that session's video, and there you go. These videos will be exclusive to the group, so this will not be on YouTube, this will not go on Facebook or on Instagram. It'll be just the Facebook Extreme Strength and Fitness United group. So if you guys are here, you're watching, of course you're here, and I'm glad you are. I hope this works a little bit better for you all. And the first thing I really want to go over is, so I was going to do this for a month. I'm just going to keep doing this week by week and see how it goes. If you guys are liking it, obviously I'm going to keep doing it. Now, today I am going to talk about a couple things really quick, and then I have 3 movements that I do want to go over with you all, kind of just going from the feet up to the shoulders. And then next week we'll get into like a full follow along session, so stick with me and just listen. All right, so I just want to talk for a second about what mobility is and the different ways we can train it, right? A lot of people, they think flexibility, mobility, what's the difference? I've done a post on my Instagram before. I'll actually make sure that link is in the description. But, mobility is, if you want to do the book definition, would be your ability to take a joint through a range of motion, active range of motion, right? So let's think you're squatting, right? Is your ankle joint able to allow a dorsiflexion for the knee joint to come over and knee flexion enough? Is the hip joint able to hinge correctly? So on and so forth. There's, you can look at it different ways. Now, when we think about that, well, mobility, okay, taking a joint through a full range of motion, well, what is that? What is a full range of motion? Well, that's different for everybody, right? So a full range of motion for the big picture is going to be the biggest range of motion you can create. So if it's a squat, right, it's going to be the deepest you can go in that squat. Ass to grass, that's that range of motion. Now, for an individual, their range of motion might only be a quarter squat, right? Their full range of motion at that point might be a quarter squat. And that's where mobility, doing separate mobility sessions, or just even the right mobility work before your workout or during your prep work, can really assist and help you out in the long-term game. So with that being said, well, how do we train it, right? Is it something that you can just do every day? Do you stretch? What do you do? Dynamic movements? Like what's the situation? Well, don't worry. It's really not that complicated, right? Once you go over this stuff with me and you have these sessions under your belt, you're gonna start to learn these movements and how they all link together and which ones make you feel the best. Now, from there, what you should do is your choice. What I like to do is I like to do mobility sessions in the morning sometimes. If I'm really just had a hard skate session that day or a hard workout, I'm just super achy, recovery wasn't good, I didn't get good sleep, whatever the case may be. If I'm just waking up not feeling quite there, a little 5-minute something just to get the joints feeling good. Now, how I actually train mobility, how I actually get a mobility session in is I have it supplemented in throughout my week, right? So it's not like you have to be doing these boring stretches, right? At first, it might seem like we're doing that, and for the most part, we are going to be doing stuff different, right? So we're going to be learning how to load the tissue without external load besides your body weight. So we're not going to be using implements like a kettlebell or like bands right now, because I know most of us are at home, most of us do not have a lot of equipment. So I want to make sure we're keeping it as simple as we can. But that doesn't mean we can't load tissue through slowing movements down and really testing end ranges of motion. And that's where we want to get to in these follow along videos. But at first, we have to just address your ranges of motion. Now what I want you all to do, based off of the 3 movements we do today, it's kind of like your assessment day, right? So you'll see, I'm not going to say what the movements are quite yet, but when we get into them, there's going to be something for the ankles, something for the hips, and there's going to be something for the shoulders, right? So in that context, when you're looking at each movement individually, use this as your time to assess yourself and see, okay, how far can I take this joint through a range of motion? How does it feel? Where do I feel certain things? Where is it maybe quote unquote more tight, lack for a better term? And where are you getting the best benefit from the exercise? Then what I want you to do is really zone in on that. Now, what I'll do throughout this follow along sessions is, like next week when we get to a whole entire session, is I'll make sure that I'm linking back the stuff that we talked about today or those assessments, you know, how it kind of plays a role in itself. You know, I like to do that. I like you all to learn along with me besides just doing the workouts. I know a lot of people want that. You're just going to be able to do the workouts, don't worry, but I'm just going to be talking as we're going through things just to make sure there is a little bit of educational side to it. I want you all to take something away from this so you can take it on your own and go adventure. Go do what you want to do with it. So with that being said, I think it's time to get into these 3 movements. Let's get to it. All right, so the first movement, like I said, I always like to start from the feet and ankles up, right? So a lot of people, they don't realize like their knee pain that they may have, it's most of the time not your knee. So unless you have something directly to the knee, like an MCL's tear, you know, something crazy that's patella tendon, whatever it may be, if it was a direct injury to the knee, I understand. But if you don't have a direct injury to the knee, you have knee pain, it's most likely coming from the foot, ankles, and the hip. That's why I want to start from the ankles and the feet and work our way up to the hips and the shoulders. So the first movement we're going to have is going to be a combat stretch. Now, the way that you can do this to test your range of motion, if you guys have a measuring tape at home, awesome, great, you can use that. If not, you can use a wall. What I'll be showing you is I'll just use this line here as an example for myself, but you guys can utilize this as if it was the wall, okay? So it's gonna be the combat stretch. It feels fantastic and it is really good for getting into that ankle mobility as well. And I like to put a little bit more of an external rotation on the back leg hip to kind of get that mobility in there as well and getting some of that hip flexor stretched out at the same time. So let's get into the movement, right? So let's say that this is your wall, right? This is your wall, and you don't have a tape measure, right? If you have a tape measure, great. What you can do is put the tape measure up to the wall, butt it up to the wall just like this, like my hand is with the line. Now what you do is you come back, let's say you come back 1 inch and 2 inches, right? So now I'm just gonna line my foot up right here with the end of my thumb, all right? So this is essentially, I'm just doing the same thing I would with a tape measure, but now I'm just using my hand. Same thing, hand at the edge of the wall or on the line, wherever that may be. And now I can assess myself and see. Now what we're gonna do, like I said, here, what I wanna see is I actually want this hip to just externally rotate a little bit. So we're just gonna try to pop it out just like this. And then now what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep the foot flat, heel in contact, ball the pinky toe, ball the big toe. All 3 points of contact on the ground the whole time. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to slowly try to come over to where we could line our knee up with that wall, or if it was the wall, the knee would be touching the wall, all right? So we'd be coming forward, and then try to lift those toes up at that end range of motion, not letting that heel come up, keeping that heel down, coming back. Come into it. Come back. All right? Now, if you can go farther than I can, great. Happy for you. My ankles are a little shot from skateboarding for years, and I have to put in a lot of extra work to get where I am today. So, do what you can do. Now, don't let yourself just fall into the joints. make sure you're creating pressure through that foot and letting yourself actually have control over this motion. You're not just falling into it, right? Come back. You can use your hand if you want to, make it a little bit more aggressive, push into your knee, come out, we'll do one more like that, move forward, driving into the knee a little bit more, coming back, all right? Of course, you want to do this on both sides, but for the sake of the video, we're gonna keep it up. We did the ankles with the combat stretch, now we're gonna do the hips. How are we gonna do the hips? Well, we're gonna do what we call a 90-90 shin box position, however you want to call it. The way I want to do this, we're not going to do it with rotation quite yet. I just want to see if you yourself can get into the position that we want, and if not, how to set yourself up to get the most out of this exercise. So what we're going to do is what I would do, feet are hip width, right? I would take them a little bit wider than that, about half to maybe 1 times hip width. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to sit up as upright as I can, right? I don't want to be way back here. You want to be here. Now what we're going to do, if you need to, use your hands, right? It's fine to use your hands. If you need to use assistance, it's fine. If it's going to get you into the right position to challenge that range of motion, then do so. It's fine. So now what we're going to do is here, I'm going to let these hips just fall over to the side, right? So I'm just going to let my legs fall over, essentially, while my body follows with it. Now I'm in this position, right? What you can do, if this is hard to do, so a lot of people, when it comes to that internal rotation of that back hip, they seem to get a pinching pain right in here. So it just seems to pinch really hard, like your bones are pinching or something. It's not what's going on. You're dealing with some problems with that internal rotation, right? You just lack it. So we got to work on that. So what you can do is you can take your hand. So right, the end position, we want to be here. So we want to be sitting up, nice and tall, nice and chill. You even could kick this leg out a little bit more so it's at a little bit more of a 90-90 position. Now I'm here, sitting up nice and tall, knees on the ground, feet are on the ground. I'm solid, I'm based, I'm good. Now, if this is difficult for you, that's fine. Like I said, use this hand. Use your hand to your side to really keep yourself up. Focus on letting your hip internally rotate like it should. Keep it there, and just hold this position for a little bit, all right? Right now, we're taking it easy. We're seeing how everything feels. Now, the way I want you to assess this is if you have your hand down, and you go like this, and you just start falling over, then we really got to address that hip in the internal rotation of it, right? So, if I'm here, and I go here, and I start falling over, that means my hip really does not want to be in this position. It really is trying to send me out of it, and my body's just falling. So if that happens, that's okay. That means you use your arms. Now, if you got little short T-Rex arms, then I'll turn over and I'll show you what you can do, all right? So if you have something at home to use, like a foam roller, you can use that. Actually, let me just turn this way for you so you can see this hand in its position. What you can do is use a foam roller if you have one to place down on the ground next to you, right? You place your hand under it. But if you don't, I'm sure you have a water bottle or something of that sort at home, correct? So it's easy as that. We're just going to use that water bottle for assistance to help keep my body upright. And like I said, this is just if you have those short arms. I know some people just have that. So, and see, for me, this side, a lot more difficult to internally rotate. I know that. I know I have my problems when it comes to this side, and that's why I like to use assistance. I'm actually going to roll this away because it's annoying for me. But like I was saying, if you need to, use an implement like that so you can prop yourself up correctly. And see, if I take this away, my body wants to pull itself away a little bit. That's just because I've been a little bit rough on myself and probably haven't been doing the stuff I've been supposed to be doing all the time. So it happens to all of us. And that's what I was saying. Just get in this position. Now, if this feels good and you're in this position, now what you can start doing is just trying to let yourself come over, keeping that body upright, still staying upright so you're not going over like this because that pinching pain's there. You're still nice and solid, coming over that base, and you're coming back, okay? If you can't sit upright without this knee popping up or without yourself going like this, And we're not gonna do that quite yet. We're just gonna sit in this position and relax, all right? So that's the 90-90, and you'll see next week how we progress from here. We did the ankles, we did the hips, now we're gonna address those shoulders, okay? So, especially right now with the pandemic going on and stuff, I know it's not as bad as it was at first. People are getting out, doing more stuff, which is great. Do you, right? So, for me, a big issue with being at home is just sitting down a lot more, right? Or even, if not, you sit down a lot at your job. A lot of people do work those desk jobs where you're sitting down a lot, right? So what are we doing when we're sitting down? Well, you know, let's say I'm at a desk. I'm relaxing in my chair. I have a chair that has a backrest on it or something. I'm not utilizing the stabilizing muscles of my core, my spine, you know, all that stuff. Then I'm gonna be slouching, and I'm gonna be here. I'm just gonna be chilling on my laptop, doing what I do. All right, cool. Well, I mean, it's not the worst thing, but for me, I notice a lot of pain in my shoulders if I'm sitting like that for too long over there, right? And that's me. So when it comes to postural things, right? Posture does not predict pain. It's not the case. Now, posture is essentially just how gravity is, what position gravity is putting your body in, right? So if there's pain there, then you probably should address it. If there's not, then I mean, okay, like it's all right. It's not the end of the world. But really, what I'm trying to get at is we are here a lot. We're just extending this position, so these muscles back here just are getting so laxed and stuff, and they just don't seem to have the strength. And then also, you think about that. Now I'm internally rotating these shoulders, so there's no external rotation going on. And who knows how well I can actually externally rotate my shoulder. I'm just internally rotated. I'm here, right? So that's what this is going to be addressing. What we're going to be doing is called the handcuff position. Now, there is a way to do this with rotation, but that's a progression, right? So what we're going to be doing is just the isometric version of this, all right? So I'm going to face you and do this one time, and then I'll actually face this way and do it another time for you all. So let's get to it. First things first with this, right? All we're going to do is we're going to lay down flat on our stomachs, right? All right, cool. I'm here. Sweet. Now what do I do? All right. So sounds exactly, or it is exactly how it sounds. It's like you're getting handcuffed. Now, with these legs, you can take them wide if that seems to help you keep your glutes engaged. So that means you're trying to hinge your hips. Essentially what I do is I try to just thrust into the ground. I mean, however you want to think about it. But that's what I do to get my glutes to really fire and keep that back in a neutral position, because you'll see, I'll show you when I turn to my side, how easy it is to really let that back extend more than it should be in this position. And this is really not what we're trying to train right now, so might as well stabilize yourself in this position, right? So what we're gonna do, face down, and come here, right? So one thing that I see that I have a lot of gripe with when people do this is they keep their head down, right? So what we're gonna do first, let me explain, move some stuff out of my way before I mess this all up. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come here, just like I said, we're gonna get handcuffed. Now, if you see here, see how my shoulders are completely rolled forward? That's what we're trying to get away from, right? So what we wanna do is we wanna pull those shoulder blades back, right? So now I'm in this position. I got my glutes squeezed, got my shoulders back, but a lot of people do this, and they do it like this, right, with their head down, which is okay, but for me, I like to lift the head up, so then I'm trying to engage those glutes even more, activate, and now I'm going to keep my shoulders back. Like I said, this is going to be more isometric now. So we're just going to hold this position, and if you can't, okay, then you know that's a limiting factor for you. It's probably maybe the strength of just lifting yourself up in the isometric position. So then what I want you to do is assess yourself from here. If your shoulders are rolled forward, I want you to just try to think, all right, head down. Now I'm gonna squeeze my shoulder blades back, squeeze those glutes, and hold this position as long as I can. Roughly 15 to 20 seconds, whatever feels really good for you. That's how I'd like you to assess this one. Now, like I showed you, I accidentally did do one of the rotational ones, but that's something we will work to. So with that, that was the isometric handcuff. what I want you to do is try to get to the point where you can get that chest off the ground, holding that isometrically for 15 to 30 seconds. And then also, if not, and you have the shoulders rolled forward a lot when you're just laying on the ground trying to put your hands behind your back. Because some people won't even be able to make their hands go behind their back like that. That's okay. Work with that. If you have to start a little bit more extended and just try to get those shoulders in that position, then do so. Do what works best for you. This is just something that I'm putting out there for you all to grab onto and hopefully see that we all have some things that we could deal with, and it feels great. It feels really good, and there's progress to be made for each and every single one of us, each and every single day. So with that, Extreme Strength and Fitness United Facebook group, I hope you're as excited as I am for these follow-along sessions. I hope you liked today's installment of this, and I look forward to doing some more with you all. Peace.